They ignored Earth's warnings. Now human warships block every exit. Part 1. The First Contact. The strange signals first appeared on a Tuesday morning. Admiral Kim Dae-ho was reviewing routine reports when the alert flashed across his screen. He paused, coffee cup halfway to his lips, and tapped the notification. "Sir, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Ryu, hurrying into his office without knocking. Her eyes were wide with excitement. The deep space array picked up something different. Different was an understatement. The patterns defied Earth's established communication protocols. Complex, structured, and undeniably artificial. After 3 days of analysis, the conclusion was inescapable. Humanity was no longer alone. The world changed overnight. News outlets broadcast continuous updates. Religious leaders offered conflicting interpretations. Financial markets fluctuated wildly. But at Earth's Unified Defense Command headquarters, buried beneath the Pacific Ocean floor, Admiral Dae-ho maintained a steely calm. "What do we know about them?" he asked his assembled team 1 week after the discovery. Commander Park Ji-woo stepped forward. "They call themselves the Galactic Consortium, sir. A coalition of 17 spacefaring species who claim to have been monitoring our development for centuries. And now they've decided to say hello," Dae-ho murmured, studying the translation of their initial message. Something about their tone bothered him, a subtle condescension beneath the diplomatic phrasing. The first visual contact came through a high-orbit relay station. The consortium representatives appeared vaguely humanoid, but with silvery skin that reflected light oddly, and eyes spaced wider than human norm. Their spokesperson introduced himself with a name humans couldn't properly pronounce. "We welcome Earth to the greater community of advanced beings," the alien said, through the translation system. "Your species has progressed remarkably quickly from primitive technology to basic spaceflight." Basic. The word grated on Dae-ho. Humanity had colonies on Mars and mining operations throughout the asteroid belt. They'd sent probes beyond the solar system and developed fusion power. Yet these visitors spoke as if they were addressing clever children. Earth's unified government assembled a response team including diplomats, scientists, and military advisors. Dae-ho represented defense interests arguing for caution. "We need to establish clear boundaries from the beginning," he insisted during planning sessions. "Make our sovereignty non-negotiable." The diplomatic package they prepared was respectful, but firm. Earth welcomed peaceful exchange but would not tolerate interference in human affairs. They included explicit warnings about humanity's history of fierce independence. The consortium's reply came 3 days later. "Your concerns are noted," their message began, "though somewhat premature given your limited understanding of galactic standards." When the official transmission ended, Dae-ho's classified channels picked up something else. Internal consortium communications they hadn't meant to broadcast. His linguistics team worked through the night decoding fragments. "Sir," Park reported at dawn, looking troubled. "We've translated portions of their private exchange. They're discussing Earth as a resource-rich opportunity and humans as a manageable population." Dae-ho's expression darkened. "They see us as a colony prospect." That afternoon, he convened a private meeting with Earth's highest military command. "I believe we're facing a potential threat," he told them, sharing the intercepted communications. "And I recommend activating Protocol Thunderstorm." Protocol Thunderstorm had been developed decades earlier, a contingency plan for first contact, scenarios that turned hostile. It involved revealing only limited military capabilities while secretly preparing Earth's true defenses. "That's a serious step," General O remarked. "The consortium hasn't made any overtly aggressive moves yet." "They won't," Dae-ho replied. "Not until they believe they understand our capabilities and have positioned themselves advantageously. By then, it will be too late to respond effectively." After heated debate, the Council approved his recommendation with a 7-3 vote. The next day, Earth hosted the first consortium delegation at the International Space Station. The aliens toured the facility, asking questions about human technology that seemed designed to assess capabilities rather than share knowledge. Their representative, who asked to be called Envoy, spoke of the benefits of joining their coalition while carefully avoiding any firm commitments about what that would mean for Earth's autonomy. "Your species shows promise," Envoy told Earth's diplomatic team. "With proper guidance, you might advance significantly faster." Meanwhile, beneath the public diplomacy, Daeho's team worked frantically. Advanced weapon systems hidden in asteroid bases were quietly activated. Stealth vessels designed to be invisible to conventional sensors moved into position throughout the solar system. Research teams worked around the clock to decode more consortium transmissions. 2 weeks into negotiations, Park burst into Daeho's office, face pale. "Sir, we've broken their encryption. They've been transmitting detailed scans of Earth's resources and defense systems to their home worlds, and..." She hesitated. "They've scheduled what they're calling a preliminary resource evaluation team to enter our system without formal permission." Daeho stared at the data, feeling cold certainty settle in his stomach. He'd seen this pattern before in humanity's own bloody history, the prelude to colonization. "How long do we have?" "Their ships will arrive in 12 days, sir." Daeho nodded, slowly. "Then we have 11 days to complete preparations." He pressed the secure communication button on his desk. "Get me the Defense Council. Tell them it's time for Phase 2. As night fell over Earth, billions of citizens continued their normal lives, unaware that beneath the surface of polite diplomatic exchanges, the Admiral and his team were preparing for a confrontation that would determine humanity's future among the stars. They ignored Earth's warnings. Now human warships block every exit. Their Part 2, the incursion. The consortium ships arrived exactly when predicted. 7 vessels, each roughly the size of a small aircraft carrier, dropped out of what appeared to be folded space near the orbit of Jupiter. They made no attempt to hide their approach or request permission to enter Earth's solar system. Admiral Kim Dae-ho watched their progress on the massive holographic display in Earth Defense Command's Situation Room. The alien ships moved with practiced precision, ignoring all hails from human outposts as they passed. "They're heading straight for Mars," reported Officer Lee Jin-soo, tracking the formation. "Current speed suggests arrival in 14 hours. Dae-ho nodded, his face betraying nothing of the anger building inside him. "And our assets?" "In position and maintaining stealth protocols," Jin-soo confirmed. "They haven't detected a thing." This was the moment Dae-ho had prepared for ever since those first transmissions. In the 11 days since learning of the consortium's plans, Earth's hidden military capabilities had been fully activated. Ships that officially didn't exist had moved into strategic positions throughout the solar system. Weapon platforms disguised as communication satellites or research outposts stood ready. Earth's public diplomatic channels continued normal operations, deliberately projecting an image of nervous anticipation rather than readiness. The official defense forces, the ones the consortium knew about, were maintained at standard alert levels. "Sir," called Commander Park Ji-woo from her station. "The consortium is broadcasting system-wide." The main screen shifted to show the alien they'd come to know as Envoy. Even through the translation system, his tone carried unmistakable condescension. "People of Earth, the Galactic Consortium, has decided to establish resource management outposts within your system. This is standard procedure for developing civilizations. Your cooperation will make this transition smoother for all involved." The broadcast ended abruptly, offering no opportunity for response. General Lee Sun-mi, representing Earth's unified government, stepped forward. "That wasn't a request. That was an announcement of intention." "Precisely," Dae-ho replied. "Continue, observing protocols. Let them believe we're scrambling to respond." 20 hours later, the first consortium mining operation began on Mars. They chose Olympus Mons, the massive shield volcano whose rich mineral deposits Earth's own colonists had begun to explore. Without ceremony, the aliens landed massive equipment and began excavation, destroying a small research facility in the process. The Mars Colonial Authority transmitted immediate protests. Earth's diplomatic corps sent formal objections. Both were ignored. Within 3 days, similar operations appeared on Ceres, Europa, and throughout the asteroid belt. Each time the pattern was the same. The consortium arrived, took what they wanted, and ignored all human communication, except to occasionally send dismissive acknowledgments. After a week of escalating tensions, Deho received a summons from the UN Security Council, now expanded to include representatives from all Earth nations and off-world colonies. "Admiral," began the Secretary General, a tall woman from Ghana whose calm voice belied the anxiety in the room. "How long do we wait before responding with force?" Deho studied the faces around him, some frightened, others angry, all looking to him for answers. "We need to understand exactly what we're facing," he explained. "Every encounter provides more information about their capabilities and intentions." "While they strip mine our system?" demanded the Mars representative whose colony had suffered the first incursion. "No," Deho replied firmly. "But we strike when we're ready, not when we're provoked." That readiness came sooner than expected. The next morning, a consortium ship appeared in low Earth orbit without warning. Unlike their mining vessels, this one was clearly military, bristling with what intelligence identified as weapon ports and scanning arrays. Within an hour, the ship's commander requested direct communication with Earth's leadership. The Security Council gathered again, this time facing a new alien who introduced himself as Supreme Extractor Joe Laren. "Your continuing objections to our presence are becoming tiresome," the alien stated without preamble. "The consortium has designated this system for development. This is not negotiable." The Secretary General maintained remarkable composure. "Your unilateral actions violate our sovereignty. We insist that you withdraw immediately and engage in proper diplomatic channels if you wish to establish relations." The alien made a gesture that the translation system couldn't interpret. "Sovereignty requires the ability to enforce boundaries. Your species possesses rudimentary weapons and limited space capability. You are in no position to make demands." "Yet, we make them nonetheless," she replied evenly. "Then you will learn the consequences of obstinance." The transmission cut off abruptly. Within minutes, reports flooded in from Earth's moon colony. Consortium forces had landed near the main habitat dome and were deploying equipment. "That's enough," Deho said quietly. He opened a secure channel to General Lee Sun-mi, who had returned to her command post. "Initiate Thunderstorm Phase 3. Sun-mi's face showed grim satisfaction. "About time, Admiral." Throughout the solar system, hidden command centers hummed with activity. In her underground lunar base, Sun-mi dispatched stealth fighters toward the consortium landing site. From concealed hangars on Mars, human warships emerged, their advanced propulsion systems bringing them quickly to battle readiness. Deho opened a private channel to Captain Yoon Han Sol, commanding Earth's most advanced vessel, hidden in the shadows of Saturn's rings. "Captain Yoon, you have authorization to capture the Ceres installation. We need prisoners for interrogation." "Understood, Admiral," came the crisp reply. "Operation begins in 30 minutes." As Deho returned to the Situation Room, Officer Kang Tae-woo approached with new intelligence. "Sir, we've decoded more of their communications. They're discussing Earth as a Category 3 acquisition. Apparently that means minimal indigenous rights and full resource allocation to the consortium." Deho's expression hardened. "Then we'll need to adjust their category system." He addressed the room at large. "All units prepare for synchronized engagement. Operation Boundary Line commences in 20 minutes. As the countdown began, Deho thought of all the warnings Earth had sent. Clear communications about sovereignty, about humanity's determination to remain free. Warnings the consortium had casually dismissed. "Their mistake," he murmured, watching, as hundreds of stealth signatures suddenly appeared on the tactical display, converging on consortium positions throughout the solar system. "They should have taken us seriously. They ignored Earth's warnings. Now human warships block every exit." Part 3. The Hidden Fleet. The first consortium outpost to fall was on Ceres. One moment, alien mining equipment hummed efficiently across the dwarf planet's surface. The next, sleek vessels materialized seemingly from nowhere, surrounding the installation. Before the consortium forces could react, Precision strikes disabled their communications and defensive systems. 15 minutes later, the entire operation was under human control. Similar scenes played out across the solar system with choreographed efficiency. On Mars, specialized Earth commandos wearing advanced exosuits captured the Olympus Mons facility, intact. The Europa station surrendered without firing a shot. Throughout the asteroid belt, smaller consortium operations found themselves suddenly facing overwhelming force. The consortium vessel in Earth orbit proved more challenging. When surrounded by previously undetected human warships, it attempted to engage defensive measures and transmit distress signals. Neither succeeded. Targeted electromagnetic pulses fried its communications just as precision kinetic rounds disabled its main engines. In the Lunar Operation Control Center, General Lee Sunmi received updates from across the system with grim satisfaction. All primary targets neutralized, reported her tactical officer. Minimal casualties on both sides. And the prisoners? She asked. Secure and being processed for transport to interrogation facilities. Sunmi nodded and opened a channel to Earth. Defense Command. Admiral, Phase 3 complete. The solar system is secured. Admiral Kim Dae-ho acknowledged from his command center beneath the Pacific. Well done, General. Prepare prisoner transport for the highest-ranking officers. I want them brought to the council chamber. The world watched in stunned disbelief as news of humanity's sudden military action spread across the globe. For weeks, people had feared the technologically superior aliens. Now screens showed consortium vessels disabled or captured by a human fleet no one knew existed. How? Became the question on everyone's lips. How had Earth hidden such military capacity? How had they defeated a spacefaring civilization so quickly? 3 days later, the Earth Defense Council convened in its secure underground chamber. Representatives from every continent and off-world colony gathered to witness what came next. At the center of the room stood a single alien, the captured commander of the consortium forces, flanked by 4 human guards. Captain Yoon Han-sol entered, carrying a data tablet. Unlike the public military that wore traditional uniforms, his outfit was matte black with minimal insignia, the uniform of Earth's secret fleet. This is Supreme Extractor Joe Laren, Han-sol announced to the assembly. Highest-ranking consortium official in our system and architect of the incursion plan. The alien stood tall despite his captivity. His silvery skin reflected the chamber's lights oddly, and his wide-set eyes scanned the room with what might have been contempt. You've made a grave error, Joe Laren said through the translation device attached to his suit. The consortium controls 17 systems. When they learn of your attack, they will respond with force beyond your comprehension. Han-sol smiled thinly. They already know. We allowed one tightly controlled message to reach your hierarchy. It contained our terms. He activated a large display screen showing the consortium's vessels now under human control. But before we discuss that, Han-sol continued, I think there are some things you should understand about Earth and humanity. He tapped his tablet, and the screen changed to show intercepted consortium communications. We've been monitoring your transmissions since your first ships entered our detection range, which, by the way, extends far beyond what you believed. Joe Laren's expression remained impassive, but a subtle shift in his posture betrayed his surprise. We decoded your encryption within days, Han-sol continued. We know about your classification of Earth as a Category 3 acquisition. We know about your resource extraction quotas. We know everything. The alien commander remained silent for a long moment. Impossible. Your technology is not advanced enough for such capabilities. Han-sol laughed, a short, harsh sound. That's been your fundamental mistake from the beginning. You judged our technology based on what we allowed you to see. He gestured around the room. Humanity learned caution long ago. Our history is filled with stronger powers exploiting the weak. We vowed never to be the weak again. He tapped his tablet once more, and the display changed to show massive shipyards hidden in Earth's asteroid belt. Enormous vessels under construction, weapon platforms disguised as ordinary satellites. For 50 years, we've maintained 2 space programs, Han-sol explained. The public one with outdated rockets and clumsy space stations, and this one, the screen showed sleek ships with technology clearly rivaling the consortium's own. Funded by a secret global coalition, built in hidden facilities, crewed by soldiers and scientists who officially don't exist. Murmurs swept through the council chamber. Even many of Earth's leaders hadn't known the full extent of the hidden program. "You're lying," Joe Laren insisted, but uncertainty had crept into his voice. "Our scans would have detected such infrastructure." "Your scans found exactly what we wanted them to find," Hansel replied. "We've been developing stealth technology since before we reached space. It's amazing what you can accomplish when your species spends centuries trying to hide from itself." Admiral Deho stepped forward. "The consortium made 3 critical mistakes. First, you assumed our public technology represented our true capabilities. Second, you ignored our explicit warnings about sovereignty. But your greatest error was failing to study our history." He gestured to the prisoner. "Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've become very, very good at it. And we've learned that appearing weaker than you are can be a powerful strategic advantage." Joe Laren seemed to deflate, slightly. "What are your terms?" Deho's expression remained stern. "Complete withdrawal from our solar system, reparations for the damage to our Mars colony and research stations, and formal recognition of Earth sovereignty." "The consortium will never—" "They will," interrupted Hansel. "Because right now human warships are positioned throughout your territory. While you focused your attention on this primitive solar system, we sent faster, stealthier ships to key positions in consortium space. Your leadership has already received proof of this." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just defended itself, it had launched a counter-invasion without the consortium even realizing it. "You've been operating in our territory for years," Deho added quietly. "Studying us, testing our defenses. Did you really think we wouldn't do the same?" For the first time, genuine fear showed in the alien commander's eyes. "Who are you people?" General Sunmi stepped forward, her voice calm but carrying throughout the chamber. "We are humanity. We warned you not to underestimate us. Next time, perhaps you'll listen." They ignored Earth's warnings. Now human warships block every exit. Part 4. The blockade. The Consortium High Council chamber erupted into chaos. Emergency alerts flashed across every screen as reports flooded in from across their territory. Somehow, impossibly, human warships had appeared simultaneously at every major transit hub in consortium space. "This cannot be happening," declared First Speaker Tazavel, his silvery skin flushed dark with emotion. "These primitives were barely capable of reaching their own moon a century ago." "The reports are confirmed," replied his military advisor grimly. "Human vessels are blocking all 17 major jump points. No ships can enter or exit our core systems." On the primary display, footage showed sleek black vessels hovering near the spatial anomalies the consortium used for faster-than-light travel. The ships bore minimal markings, just a small Earth emblem and identification codes. They made no aggressive moves, simply maintaining position at strategic points, effectively cutting off all major travel and commerce routes. Thousands of light-years away, Commander Choi Yun-ah stood on the bridge of the EDS Steadfast, one of humanity's most advanced warships. Her vessel maintained position near the busiest consortium transit hub, where 6 major trade routes converged. A dozen other Earth ships formed a precise blockade formation around the spatial distortion. "Status report," Yuna requested, her calm voice betraying none of the tension she felt. This was the farthest any human vessel had traveled from Earth, a fact that would have made headlines in normal times. "All systems nominal, Commander," replied Officer Beck Minho from the tactical station. "Our presence has been detected. Consortium vessels are maintaining distance but gathering in significant numbers." Yuna nodded. "Right on schedule. Open system-wide broadcast channels." The communications officer worked quickly. "Channel open, Commander. You're transmitting across all consortium frequencies." Yuna took a deep breath. The words she was about to speak had been carefully crafted by Earth's unified diplomatic corps, but the responsibility of delivering them fell to her. "Attention all vessels and consortium authorities. This is Commander Choi Yun-ah of the Earth defense ship Steadfast. You ignored Earth's warnings about sovereignty and territorial rights. You dismissed our diplomatic communications. You invaded our solar system without permission. Now every exit from your territory is blocked by human warships. She paused, letting the message sink in before continuing. We have established similar blockades at all major consortium transit points. Your economy will collapse within weeks without access to these routes. Your colonies will begin experiencing critical resource shortages within days. This blockade will remain in place until our terms are met. Throughout consortium space, the same message played in 17 locations simultaneously. On hundreds of worlds, beings of various species gathered around communication devices, listening in stunned silence to the ultimatum from a species they had dismissed as insignificant just weeks earlier. Back on the Steadfast, Minho reported, "Commander, 3 consortium warships are moving into attack position. Yuna had expected this. Defensive measures only. Do not fire unless fired upon." The tense standoff lasted 17 minutes before the consortium vessels launched their attack. Energy weapons flared across space, striking the Steadfast shields. The human crew felt only a slight vibration. "Shields holding at 98%, reported the defensive systems officer. "Their weapons are powerful but not significantly beyond our capabilities." Yuna nodded. "Return fire. Targeted disabling shots only. Engines and weapon systems. We want them crippled, not destroyed." The Steadfast's response was precise and devastating. Concentrated particle beams struck the lead consortium vessel with surgical accuracy, disabling its primary systems without breaching the hull. The other 2 ships broke off their attack immediately, retreating to a safer distance. "Broadcast on all frequencies," Yuna ordered. This demonstration was restrained. "We have no desire for casualties, but we will defend our blockade. Any further attacks will be met with proportional force." Similar scenarios played out across consortium. Space's local commanders tested Earth's resolve and capabilities. In each case, the human vessels responded with overwhelming but carefully controlled defensive actions. 12 hours into the blockade, the economic impact was already being felt. Cargo vessels hung motionless in space, unable to deliver time-sensitive goods. Passenger ships crowded outer system areas, stranding travelers. Resource-dependent worlds began implementing emergency rationing. In the consortium High Council chamber, emergency sessions continued without break. Military options were proposed and dismissed as reports of failed attacks against the human blockade accumulated. "How did they achieve this level of technology without our knowledge?" demanded one counselor. "Our intelligence indicated they were at least 50 years from developing efficient FTL travel." "Evidently," first speaker Tazavel replied bitterly, "their deception capabilities exceed their technological ones, and we fell for it completely." On the Steadfast, Commander Yun-ah reviewed the latest reports from the other blockade points. All human vessels were holding position successfully. Consortium resistance had been neutralized with minimal casualties on either side. "Commander," called Officer Back, "we're receiving a direct communication request from the consortium capital. Priority channel." Yuna straightened her uniform. "Put it through." The main view screen activated to show first speaker Tazavel himself, the highest authority in the consortium. His normally imposing demeanor seemed diminished somehow. "Commander," he began, formal but tense. "Your actions constitute an act of war against the entire consortium." Yuna met his gaze steadily. "No, first speaker. They constitute a response to your act of war against Earth. We repeatedly warned your representatives about violating our sovereignty. Those warnings were ignored. We are prepared to discuss the situation regarding your solar system," Tazvel offered, clearly choosing his words carefully. "The time for discussion about our solar system has passed," Yuna replied. "Your forces have already been removed from it. What we're discussing now is the future relationship between humanity and the consortium." She tapped a control panel, sending a data packet through the connection. "These are our terms authorized by Earth's unified government. They include recognition of Earth's sovereign territory, restitution for damages, and a new framework for interaction between our civilizations based on mutual respect rather than exploitation." Tazvel's expression darkened as he skimmed the document. These terms are unprecedented. The consortium has never faced a situation like this before, Yuna interrupted. You believed us weak because we appeared, so that was your mistake, not ours. She leaned forward slightly. You have 48 hours to provide an initial response. The blockade remains until a formal agreement is signed. If hostilities escalate, so will our measures. As the communication ended, Officer Baek approached with a status update. Commander, our long-range sensors detect large consortium fleet movements in the outer systems. They appear to be consolidating forces. Yuna nodded. As expected, they'll try to break at least one blockade point to save face before negotiating. Will they succeed? Asked a young navigation officer, voicing the concern many felt. Commander Yuna turned to face her crew, her expression confident. No, they still don't understand what they're dealing with. This blockade is just the visible part of our capabilities. She gestured toward the stars visible through the view screen. We've had ships in their territory for years, gathering intelligence, analyzing weaknesses. We're not just blocking their transit points. We're holding their entire civilization hostage. She returned to her command chair. And soon they'll realize it. Then the real negotiations will begin. They ignored Earth's warnings. Now human warships block every exit. Part 5. The negotiation. The neutral space station hung like a gleaming silver coin against the blackness of space, rotating slowly at the exact midpoint between consortium and human-controlled territory. Originally built as a consortium diplomatic outpost, it had been hastily repurposed for this unprecedented meeting. Its grand central chamber, designed to impress visiting dignitaries from lesser worlds, now awaited the arrival of both delegations. Director Nam Ju-wan adjusted the collar of his formal uniform as the Earth delegation's shuttle docked with the station. Despite his calm exterior, tension ran through him like an electric current. As Earth's chief negotiator, the weight of humanity's future rested partly on his shoulders. Nervous? Asked Admiral Song Hyun-woo, walking beside him toward the airlock. Ju-wan allowed himself a small smile. I'd be a fool not to be, but I'm more curious than afraid. For years we prepared for this moment, never knowing if it would come. The delegation consisted of 12 humans, diplomats, military officers, and specialists representing Earth's unified government. They had spent the 2-week journey rehearsing scenarios and refining their approach. Now, as the airlock cycled, open, they moved with practiced precision into the station. A consortium attendant led them through winding corridors toward the negotiation chamber. The consortium delegation is already assembled, the alien informed them in slightly accented Earth standard. The first speaker himself leads them. As expected, Ju-wan replied evenly, betraying none of his surprise. For the consortium's highest leader to attend personally spoke volumes about how seriously they were taking the situation. The grand chamber doors slid open, revealing a circular room with a massive round table at its center. The consortium representatives rose as the humans entered, 17 aliens representing the leadership of their coalition. First speaker. Tazvel stood at the center, his silvery skin contrasting with the deep purple of his formal robes. Ju-wan noted with satisfaction the barely concealed shock on the aliens' faces as they took in the human delegation. This was the first time many of them had seen humans in person, having relied on reports and recordings that had clearly failed to prepare them for the reality. Director Nam. Tazvel greeted him with a formal bow. The consortium welcomes Earth's representatives. First speaker, Ju-wan replied with equal formality. Earth appreciates this opportunity to establish a proper relationship between our civilizations. The subtle emphasis on proper wasn't lost on the consortium leader. His wide-set eyes narrowed, slightly before he gestured toward the table. Please be seated, there is much to discuss. As the delegations took their places, Ju-wan observed the tense postures of the consortium representatives. They had clearly expected to intimidate the human delegation with their numbers and the imposing architecture of the chamber. Instead, the humans took their seats with quiet confidence, arranging their data tablets and materials with practiced efficiency. Before we begin, Tazavel said. I must express the consortium's disappointment regarding your blockade of our transit points. Such aggressive tactics are unprecedented in galactic diplomacy. Juwan met the alien's gaze steadily. As was your unauthorized incursion into our sovereign territory. We responded proportionally to the threat you presented. A misunderstanding, offered another consortium representative, a being with features that reminded Juwan of Earth's octopi. Our resource survey team simply followed standard procedure for newly discovered civilizations. Newly discovered? Echoed Admiral Song, speaking for the first time. His voice carried the quiet authority of someone accustomed to command. According to your own records, which we've accessed, you've been observing Earth for over 3 centuries. A hush fell over the consortium side of the table. The fact that humans had accessed their secure databases was clearly news to some of them. Furthermore, Juwan continued smoothly, your internal communications classified Earth as a Category 3 acquisition, a designation we find particularly troubling given its implications for human autonomy. You've been monitoring our secure channels, Tazavel stated flatly. It wasn't a question. Just as you monitored ours, Juwan replied. The difference is that we understood the true nature of this relationship from the beginning, while you operated under false assumptions about our capabilities and resolve. He tapped his tablet, sending files to the chamber's display system. Images appeared on the large screens around the room. Consortium mining operations on Mars, the damaged research station, internal consortium communications detailing resource extraction plans. You dismissed our warnings, Juwan continued. You treated our diplomatic communications as formalities to be acknowledged and ignored. You believed your technological superiority gave you the right to take what you wanted from our system. He paused, letting the evidence speak for itself before adding, that was your mistake. The consortium representatives exchanged uncomfortable glances. It was clear they had expected excuses, pleas, or anger, not this calm presentation of facts backed by their own secure communications. What exactly do you want? Asked Tazavel, dispensing with diplomatic niceties. Juwan nodded to his team's legal expert, who distributed data tablets to the consortium side. These are our terms. They're non-negotiable in principle, though we're open to discussing specific implementations. The alien studied the documents with increasing disbelief. One of them, wearing the insignia of the consortium's economic ministry, actually gasped. These terms would fundamentally alter the consortium's relationship with developing worlds, he protested. You're demanding we treat all species as equals regardless of technological development. Yes, Juwan said simply. That is precisely what we're demanding. Admiral Song leaned forward. Your civilization has thrived by exploiting others. Earth will not become another victim of that system. More importantly, we won't allow it to continue. You won't allow? Repeated Tazavel incredulously. You are one world against 17 systems. Are we? Juwan asked quietly. He activated another file on the display screens, showing footage of human warships not just at the blockade points, but in orbit around 12 different worlds, smaller planets that the consortium had been exploiting for resources. While you focused on Earth, we made contact with these civilizations. We offered them protection and alliance. They accepted enthusiastically. The revelation struck the consortium representatives like a physical blow. Their entire power structure was based on technological superiority and the isolation of less advanced species from each other. Humans had systematically undermined both advantages in a matter of months. This is why the blockade will remain until our terms are accepted, Admiral Song explained calmly. Not just for Earth's protection, but for all the worlds you've been exploiting. First Speaker Tazavel's composure finally cracked. You cannot possibly maintain this position. The economic disruption alone is already severe, Juwan finished for him. Every day the blockade continues, your economy suffers further damage. Key colonies are already reporting resource shortages. Your options are limited, First Speaker. The negotiations continued for 3 exhausting days. Consortium representatives alternated between threats, Offers of compromise and attempts to divide the human delegation, none succeeded. Earth's representatives remained united and unwavering, backed by the simple leverage of their blockade and the devastating intelligence they had gathered. On the fourth morning, Juwan entered the chamber to find a visibly defeated Tazvel waiting alone. "Your terms are harsh," the first speaker said without preamble. "They are just," Juwan corrected, "and necessary to ensure the situation never repeats itself." Tazvel stared at him for a long moment. "How did you do it? How did a single world develop such capabilities without our knowledge?" Juwan considered the question carefully. "You saw what you expected to see, a divided planet with primitive technology. You never considered that our divisions might be our greatest strength." Explain. "Humanity spent millennia competing with itself. Different nations, ideologies, and cultures all striving to outdo each other. When we finally unified, we combined. Thousands of years of competitive innovation with a shared purpose, and we knew from studying our own history exactly what happens when technologically superior outsiders arrive with resource extraction in mind." Understanding dawned in the alien's eyes. "You were prepared for us." "For someone like you," Juwan corrected. "We hoped for peaceful contact. We prepared for exploitation. You chose which response you received." Later that day, in a ceremony broadcast throughout Earth and consortium space, the Treaty of New Beginnings was signed. Its terms fundamentally restructured the consortium's relationship with other worlds, established protected status for Earth and its solar system, and created the framework for a more equitable galactic community. As the Earth delegation prepared to depart, Admiral Song joined Juwan on the observation deck overlooking the vast starfield. "Do you think they've truly accepted it?" the Admiral asked, watching distant lights of consortium vessels resuming their travels as the blockade lifted. "Or are they just biding their time?" Juwan considered the question. "They've accepted that we aren't what they thought we were. That's a start." He turned to face his colleague. "But we'll keep our fleet ready just in case they need another reminder." As their shuttle detached from the station, Juwan gazed out at the stars, thinking of all the preparations, the sacrifices, the decades of secret work that had led to this moment. Humanity had secured not just its own future among the stars, but potentially changed the course of galactic history. "They ignored Earth's warnings," he murmured. "They won't make that mistake again."